Oh, look who's back. Back in the world where silence is louder than screams, where betrayal writes your origin story, and where pain becomes your power. Where we don't cry over scars, we laugh through them. Ooh, you feel that? That fire in your chest? That's not anger. That's awakening. That's the moment you stop chasing people and start chasing greatness. They did what behind your back? Oh, you found out, didn't you? And it burned. But instead of breaking, you smiled. Instead of screaming, you watched. And what came next? Huh? Their world started crumbling, their own families questioning them. And you just kept walking. This speech isn't for the weak. It's for the ones who've tasted betrayal and turned it into fuel. For the ones who've been laughed at, lied to, left behind, and still chose to rise. Get ready, because this isn't just a story, it's a transformation. So sit tight, smile wide, and let's push through the madness together. Oh, you know that feeling, don't you? That chilling silence right after you find out someone you trusted, someone you believed in, was playing a game behind your back the whole time? It hits different. Not like a sudden punch, no. It's colder, slower. It creeps in like fog over your heart, wraps around your chest, and whispers, "They lied? They betrayed, they pretended." And the worst part, you didn't see it coming. You were busy loving, supporting, defending, while they were busy twisting the blade, slowly, carefully, with a smile on their face. You think back to all the moments you stood up for them. When others doubted them, you were the one who stood tall and said, "No, they're good. They're different." The irony, because behind that smile they gave you was a plan. A silent, selfish, sneaky little plan to use you, then discard you like yesterday's paper. You were the shelter, the helping hand, the late night call, the backup plan. And what did they give in return? A knife, a blade dressed in laughter, a goodbye written in fake smiles. But hey, here's the truth. They don't want you to realize their betrayal, it's not your failure. It's their mirror. It reflects their insecurity, their jealousy, their emptiness. You didn't lose anything. You just learned who was never with you in the first place. You didn't break. You were reborn, because only the strongest souls get betrayed like this. Only the brightest hearts get targeted by the dark ones. They thought you were weak because you were kind, but that's where they got it wrong. Kindness is not weakness. It's power, raw, rare, and radiant. And you know what makes this moment even more powerful? You survived it. Yes, you did. You might have cried. You might have collapsed. You might have stared at the wall at 2 a.m. wondering why, but you got back up. You kept walking. You smiled again, not because it didn't hurt, but because you refused to let the pain own you. That's strength. That's fire. That's what makes legends. While they hide behind their lies, you walk through your truth like a storm, loud, proud, unstoppable. They say betrayal changes you, and that's true. It makes you wiser. It makes you careful. But most of all, it makes you bulletproof. Now your heart may still feel the sting, but your soul knows the truth now. You didn't lose anything real. You lost a mask, a disguise, a shadow pretending to be your light. So hold your head high, walk forward, and smile. Oh, smile so wide that even your enemies have to bow, because they thought stabbing you would end you, but instead it awakened the beast. Ha, the joke's on them now. Ah, you want to know what really scared them? It wasn't your anger. It wasn't your screaming. It wasn't some dramatic scene under the spotlight of revenge. No, no. It was your silence. That cold, cutting, terrifying silence. The kind of silence that echoes louder than 1,000 words. The kind that makes the guilty sweat, tremble, and look over their shoulder every time they breathe. That silence, my friend, was the real explosion. They expected a reaction. They wanted chaos. They were hungry for drama. They thought they knew your limits. They thought they had you figured out. But instead of losing your mind, you found it. Instead of breaking down, you stood taller. You looked them in the eye, smiled that quiet smile of power, and walked away. And that right there, that was the moment they lost everything. You see, your silence did something their lives couldn't handle. It made them face themselves. Without your voice to blame, they were left alone with their conscience. Without your response to twist, they had no story to spin. You became their mirror, and what they saw wasn't pretty. It was guilt. It was shame. It was every dirty deed replaying in their mind on a loop. And the worst part? They realized you didn't need revenge because your peace, your calm, unbothered energy was destroying them quietly from the inside out. They told stories about you, spread lies, played the victim. Oh yes, they tried to paint you as the problem, but people aren't blind forever. People watch, people listen, and slowly, one by one, the truth came out. The masks fell, the fake smiles cracked, and those who once clapped for their lies started whispering behind their backs. Families, friends, even strangers began to see what kind of person they really were. And you said nothing. You just kept rising. That's the art of power. The poetry of strength, when you become so emotionally intelligent, so centered, so focused on your own healing, that nothing shakes you anymore. They tried to play a game, but you changed the rules. They came for war, and you handed them silence. And that silence burned louder than any scream ever could. They never expected you to be the one who didn't crumble. That's what kept them up at night. That's what made their own reflection turn against them. Because deep down, they knew you were real. You were loyal. And they lost you. Not because you gave up, but because they couldn't handle someone who didn't play dirty. So keep that silence, wear it like armor. Because your calm response didn't just protect your peace, it exposed their poison. They tried to destroy you quietly, but instead they destroyed their own image. And you became untouchable. Their nightmare wasn't what you did. It was what you didn't do. Ah, madness. That word they throw at you when they can't understand your strength. Ho ho, they see you laughing when the world is crumbling, walking tall with scars on your back, smiling with storms in your chest, and they whisper, "He's mad." But what they call madness, my friend, is nothing but power. Power dressed in chaos, in fire, in rebellion. You see, when you no longer bow to their games, when you no longer seek their approval, when you laugh at pain instead of crying over it, they label you mad. Because they can't control what they can't comprehend. They never expected you to bounce back like that. Not after all they did. Not after all the cracks they carved into you. But there you are, dancing in the ruins they left behind, turning pain into performance, bleeding yet brilliant, crying yet confident. Your madness is your rebellion. It's you looking into the eyes of destruction and saying, "Is that all you got?" It's you refusing to be tamed, refusing to stay down, refusing to break. You weren't born with madness. No, it was gifted to you the moment the world turned its back. The moment you were lied to, betrayed, pushed into the dark. You sat in silence, you sat in the void, and in that emptiness you found yourself. You realized no one was coming to save you, no knight, no friend, no miracle. And something inside you cracked, not in weakness, but in awakening. You stood up alone, and you laughed, not because life was funny, but because you realized nothing could hurt you anymore. They tried to humiliate you, instead you became unforgettable. They tried to make you look unstable, instead you became untouchable. Because now you walk with a madness that doesn't need words. It's in your eyes, it's in your silence, it's in the way you smile at people who once wanted to bury you. Your madness isn't noise. It's power in its rawest form, the kind that burns quietly, the kind that doesn't need validation. The kind that doesn't need validation, the kind that makes people uncomfortable because it reminds them of what they don't have. Freedom. You've become the storm. You no longer run from the fire. You are the fire. And they don't know what to do with that. They whisper about you, scared of your confidence. They joke about your intensity, terrified of your clarity. They watch you from a distance, hoping for you to slip. But deep down, they know you've tapped into something rare, something unstoppable, something they can't touch. And so let them call you mad, let them laugh, let them mock, because they don't know that your madness is just your final evolution. You've been broken, burned, bent, but never beaten, and now you wear your madness like a crown. Wild, fearless, glory. Because madness, my friend, is just the name they give to the ones who can't be controlled. Listen closely now. This is where the real magic happens. When the world expects you to shout, but you choose silence. When they wait for a dramatic return, but you rise. Quietly, calmly, like the sun that doesn't ask for attention, but still lights up the whole sky. That's power. Not loud, not noisy, but deep, still, and unforgettable. Oh, when they thought they'd broken you. You didn't scream. You didn't post quotes about revenge. You didn't throw your pain in their faces. No. You disappeared. You went silent. And in that silence, you built a kingdom. You stopped talking and started becoming. No explanations. No arguments. You took every insult, every betrayal, every fake smile, and you turned it into fuel. You worked in the dark. You healed in secret. You grew in silence, and by the time they noticed, it was too late. You had already leveled up, and oh, that's what kills them. Not that you changed, but that you didn't invite them to the celebration, that they no longer have access to you, that you don't care if they see you win or not. You didn't need the spotlight. You became the light, quietly, gracefully, with no announcement, no parade, just growth. Pure, real, silent growth. You see, when you rise in silence, you rob them of the one thing they crave the most, your attention. They want your reaction. They want your pain. They want to see you shaken. But you gave them nothing. And that nothing, that was everything. Because they started to feel invisible in your world, the same way they once tried to make you feel. Your silence, your focus, your discipline, it told the world a story far louder than any speech could. You weren't trying to prove them wrong anymore. You were too busy proving yourself right. You weren't seeking revenge, you were seeking peace. And in chasing that peace, you created a life so full, so powerful, so whole, that they couldn't even recognize the person they once took for granted. And what about the people watching from the sidelines? Oh, they noticed. Quietly, secretly. They watched you grow, watched you transform, watched you rise like a mountain, strong, still, and impossible to ignore. And even if they never say it out loud, they felt it. Your glow reached them without a single word. That's the power of silent evolution. It doesn't scream, it simply arrives and changes everything. So let them wonder where you went. Let them search for the old version of you. Let them whisper in confusion, because you're no longer there. You've risen quietly, beautifully, completely, and you don't need to announce it. The world will feel it anyway. You don't have to say a word when your life starts speaking for you. Oh, they thought they shattered you, didn't they? They looked at the pieces on the floor and smiled, thinking it was the end of you. But what they didn't realize is you were never made of glass. You were made of steel wrapped in soul. You weren't broken, you were rebuilt. Stronger, smarter, sharper. Every crack became a map, every scar became a story, every tear became fuel. And now you carry the kind of strength no one sees coming until it's too late. Yes, it hurt. Don't you dare hide that part. Yes, you fell. Yes, you screamed into the night, wondering why it had to be you. You trusted, you gave, you believed, and they threw it all away like it meant nothing. But here's the part they never saw coming. You didn't stay down. You didn't stay shattered. You crawled out of your own darkness, with blood on your knuckles and fire in your chest. And you started building again. But this time you built different. This time you weren't building for applause. You weren't building for approval. You weren't looking for validation. You were building for you, for peace, for power, for freedom. The old you, oh, that version was too soft, too open, too eager to love everyone. But now you've evolved. Not bitter, not cruel, just wise. Now you understand the difference between people who clap when you win and those who smile while you fall. You see, when you're broken, people think you're weak. But the truth is, the broken ones know the blueprint of healing. You've been there. You've faced the silence. You've held your own pieces in trembling hands. And you've figured out how to rebuild without help, without noise, without shortcuts. That makes you dangerous. Not because you want to hurt anyone, but because nothing can hurt you the same way twice. Look at yourself now. You're still kind, but you don't tolerate nonsense. You're still loving, but you don't beg. You still care, but you've raised your standards. That's growth. That's rebuilding. That's the version of you no one saw coming. The version that walks away quietly, that lets go peacefully, that chooses themselves without guilt or explanation. So the next time someone says, "You've changed," smile. Oh yes, you have. You've rebuilt a fortress from the ashes they left behind. And now you're standing taller than ever, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. Every part of you tells a story, not of defeat, but of survival, of resilience, of rebirth. You're not broken, love. You're just under reconstruction. And when the dust settles, they'll see a masterpiece they never deserved to touch. Let this be your reminder you are the storm they never saw coming, the calm before the collapse, the laugh that echoes through their regrets. Your pain wasn't your end, it was your beginning. And the best part, you did it without becoming like them. You stayed real, you stayed true, you stayed you. So my friend, keep laughing, keep rising, keep pushing through no matter how dark it gets. Because every scar you carry is proof that you didn't fold. You forged forward.